much to bear, and you don't care, and I won't play alone. I got you in my sight. I keep all the words you said to me. I get you on your knees. Rewrite all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you, now you'll beg me please. Hey.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Mr. Eve, Shaylee Tongue, G-Ma in the house. All right, guys. So there's been a lot of talk about the jurors coming forward in the new motions and affidavits in the Karen Reed case. There are some things that I have noticed, as well as others, but I typically don't look into other people's work unless it's either right in front of my face on Twitter or YouTube. But more often than not, I'm doing my own thing, not realizing other people have already even looked at it. Anyway, we're going to go over the affidavit that was put in today. Hey, Rocco, good to see you. Hit that like button while you're here. Even the people who are watching a replay might as well. All right. Yeah, nice, no robot voice, right? Right. Okay. So another juror comes forward, juror number 4. And we're also going to go over conflicting instructions from Judge Cannone, who has been a pain in the backside of the Karen Reed case, especially the defense, for quite some time, even before the trial began. So first and foremost, this specific number 6, when we go through the affidavit, the number 6 is what I am honing in on this live. All right. And the reason for that is because I think this is the entire reason for why we do not have counts 1 and 3 as not guilty in this case. All right. It should be, in my opinion. However, because the judge instructed the jury in conflicting ways, and I'll show that and prove that to you here in just a moment, I think that this is why we are here. This should have been prevented, basically. All right. So let's look at the most recent motion. Well, it's a supplemental. It's a supplemental affidavit by Alan Jackson in support of Karen Reed's motion to dismiss. So I know you probably listened to Melanie Little and Mark Duro and all those great, amazing people. Probably have listened to LTL, The Glare, all of those things. That's great. But I want to break down specifically where I believe the judge boofed it. And was it on purpose? It seems to be that way with the consensus on Twitter or X. So we'll get into that. So on Monday, July 8th, Alan Jackson was contacted by Juror D. Based on the conversation with Juror D, they disclosed during the voir dire process, I was able to positively identify them, blah, blah, blah. Juror D told Alan Jackson that he or she was uncomfortable with how that trial ended. The last day of trial was a whirlwind and everything happened fast. We saw that. We absolutely saw how fast it ended. She declared a mistrial. Everybody go home. But wait, there's more. They recounted that their perspective was that the jury was brought into the courtroom, the note was read, the mistrial was declared, and then the jury was rushed out of the courtroom. Following a brief meeting with the judge, the next thing they all knew, the jury was on the bus. Everybody get on the bus. So they described the end of the trial as very confusing. Me too. I think everybody agrees with that. So here's the next part that I trimmed down for everybody. Juror D said that it was very troubling that the entire case ended without the jury being asked about each count, especially count 1 and 3. As we all know, or should know by now, that the original motion that was filed by Yannetti and the affidavit by Alan Jackson notes that there were the other jurors who came through intermediaries stating that count 1 and 3, they were unanimously not guilty on those charges, right? So Juror D explained that the jury reached a not guilty verdict on count 1 and 3, which is second-degree murder, and then the leaving a scene, the manslaughter charge, leaving the scene of an accident. So Juror D said that the jury actually discussed telling the judge that they had agreed unanimously on not guilty verdicts, but they were not sure if they were allowed to say so. Now, this is where it gets really squirrely, because unfortunately, Beverly, the judge, states, if you have any questions, feel free to have the foreman who she picked before the lottery, which is very interesting. A lot of people say that's normal for juror number 1 to be picked as the foreman, basically the person that makes sure anything that's written to the judge or any questions, they are the ones to write them. They are the ones to make sure that goes smoothly. Hey, pointer lover. So why didn't this foreman was chosen, which is ironic that those 2 replacement jurors, right, were the ones picked in the lottery. So interesting. I just don't get it. Yes, this judge is a disgrace in my opinion as well. But the foreman is responsible to get this information to the judge and vice versa, okay? So why were they not sure if they were allowed to say so? So let's listen to some things that I found, and it is on X. That's kind of blowing up right now. I mean, it's been circulating, but I broke it down a little bit so people can understand. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do the short version of why they were confused, in my opinion. Here's that same screenshot that I just showed you. This is a 10-second clip of her instructions. Let's take a listen.
Don't tell anyone, including me, how the jury stands numerically or otherwise on the questions before such time as you have reached a unanimous verdict. Don't tell anyone, including me, how the jury stands numerically or otherwise on the questions before such time as you have reached a unanimous verdict.
Okay. Let's break that down. Don't tell me numerically how many are, swaying on a verdict of whatever count it is, whatever charge it is. Don't tell me before that unanimous decision. One more time.
Don't tell anyone, including me, how the jury stands numerically or otherwise on the questions before such time as you have reached a unanimous verdict. Don't tell anyone, including me.
Such time. Before such time. Now, okay, if I were a juror sitting there listening to that, my eyes would be crossed because I don't remember what was just said to me. Are these written down? Do they have instructions where they could read it? Yeah, okay. So you're thinking, I'll clear that up when I read the instructions. Well, wait, there's more. Let's listen to the full potato of what I think is why they're confused. Let's listen to the 2-minute and 15-second clip in its entirety.
Now, During the course of your deliberations, you might have a question concerning the law in this case. I'm not suggesting that you will, but you might. Perhaps I said something you did not understand. If you have any questions, please feel free to bring them to my attention by writing a note dated and signed by the foreperson and sending it to me by way of the court officer.
Okay, so if you have any questions, make sure the foreperson writes it, signs it, dates it, gives it to the officer of the court, or the officer. I guess that's sitting with them in the deliberation room, and then she will go over it and blah blah blah. Okay, well, did that happen? What did they write? Where are the notes? Did the defense or did any counsel see the notes that the foreperson wrote? Where are they? Hey, Matthew, how you doing, love? So where are the notes?
Because your role as the jury is to determine the facts of the case, I cannot answer any questions you have concerning the facts of the case. I have no role in this case when it comes to deciding what the facts are. Neither is it possible to provide you with a transcript of the testimony, even though we've had a phenomenal court reporter throughout this whole trial.
What? Why would you not be able to look at the transcripts, even though the stenographer, this lady here, has been speaking into a device for 31 days? Why not? Why can't they have that? Is that a rule? Well, let me tell you, your girl Eve has been looking. I've been looking. Searching every single one of these God-forsaken chapters in the general laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I have yet to find it. But I'll let you know if I do. I promise you that. Again, I am no lawyer. So let's move on.
If you send a question to me, I will respond after consulting with the lawyers. Please do not ask a court officer or anyone else to answer any questions concerning anything material to the case. We will not answer a question or take a verdict between 1 and 2. You'll have lunch brought into you and decide whether you want to stop your deliberations during lunch or deliberate.
Listen to this part that's about to play. This is crucial. This is where I think my 10-second clip had come in. And then listen to what she says after.
At the end of the day, if you're still deliberating, I'll send in a note asking if you want to continue deliberating or break for the day and return tomorrow morning. Don't tell anyone, including me, how the jury stands numerically or otherwise on the questions before such time as you have reached a unanimous verdict. You are going to notice shortly that the court officers are going to take an oath, and you will hear from that they too, as well as all other persons, are forbidden to communicate in any way or manner with any member of this jury on any subject touching on the merits of this case. Remember that the decision of the jury must be unanimous, and the foreperson should be certain that each member of the jury is in complete agreement with the verdict.
All right, foreperson, you are going to more than likely be questioned on your role as a foreperson as to why you did not make sure that your responsibility was met in her instructions. Was there some confusion? Did you have a lapse in judgment? Were you too busy bullying? Were you too busy not listening or not caring? Were you handpicked to just not know what you're doing? So there's 4 people who are saying, we were unanimous on counts 1 and 3. They were unsure and discussed whether they should tell the judge. As we see, the jury actually discussed telling the judge that they had agreed unanimously on not guilty verdicts for counts 1 and 3, but they were not sure if they were allowed to say so. That was the foreperson's job to make sure that that judge knew this. Right? So let's just continue on with this video, and then we're going to jump back into this affidavit, supplemental
After the
affidavit.
final vote of the jury, the foreperson should check the appropriate boxes as to each charge, then sign and date the verdict slips and notify the court officer that you have reached a unanimous verdict. You will then be brought back.
Let's listen to that lady part again.
The court officer that you have reached a unanimous verdict. You will then be brought back. After the final vote of the jury, the foreperson should check the appropriate boxes as to each charge, then sign and date the verdict slips and notify the court officer that you have reached a unanimous verdict. You will then be brought back into the courtroom where the foreperson will deliver the verdicts to the court. I'm going to seek counsel before we read that each member of the jury is in complete agreement with the verdict. After the decision of the jury must be unanimous in the foreperson of this jury on any subject touching on the merits of this case.
Sorry, I need to go back and listen to the full context. My apologies. Okay, hold on, Mr. Eve. Y'all, give me just 1 second. I'll play it. I'm going to probably play it a few times, but listen to this in its entirety. Listen to her instructions.
Remember that the decision of the jury must be unanimous in the foreperson should be certain that each member of the jury is in complete agreement with the verdict.
She doesn't say that each member should be in complete agreement with all verdicts. She said the verdicts, as if they are all one. Interesting.
After the final vote of the jury, the foreperson should check the appropriate boxes as to each charge, then sign and date the verdict slips and notify the court officer that you have reached a unanimous verdict. You will then be brought back into the courtroom where the foreperson will deliver the verdicts to the court. I'm going to seek counsel before we reduce your number to 12.
So, why didn't she say or give instructions on the other charges? It was almost like she was directing them to focus on the verdict of second-degree murder, which is the number one charge. And she's also saying that everybody's got to be unanimous on all three counts, which they were obviously deadlocked on: manslaughter, driving under the influence. Okay. So it's very obvious that I think the lawyers were trying, especially the defense, was trying to explain this when, the foreman wrote a letter to the judge saying, "We confused, ma'am. We don't know what the fuck to do." Right? We don't know. We need you to help us. And then buck the system against poor Karen Reed, saying, "You think this is funny, Miss Reed? Okay, we're done here." Now she came to her senses after that little tisk moment. However, it still is a problem
Now,
because look where we are. The jurors were displeased. At least 4 of them were displeased on how this went down. So here in a minute, we're going to play some audio that was supposed to be muted, but it was still, during the trial, it would mute, but it wouldn't mute fully. It would sound like a distant, radio, handheld radio, because it wasn't fully muted. Well, we're going to listen to some of that. Yeah, the hot mic. So let's finish this. The jury believed that they were compelled to come to a resolution on all counts before they could or should report verdicts on any of the counts. And we just heard exactly why they feel this way. It's because the judge put it out there like that. Very manipulative, in my opinion. So after the discussion, the jury decided to inform the court that they were deadlocked and that they expected they would get further instruction about the remaining counts thereafter. This is big. This one is huge. They were expected that they would get further instruction about the remaining counts thereafter. Was that written by the foreman and signed and dated? Did the judge get that? Did the jurors get to see the signed note? I don't know. Does anybody get to see it? Where is it? How does it, is it entered into any kind of on the record? We don't know. I don't know how they do it in Mass. Definitely not how we do it in Texas. That's for damn sure. So let's keep reading this. Juror D explained that they were confused and upset that such further instruction never came. Why did it not come? It all lies back on the foreman chosen by the judge, juror number 1. And there has been rumor, and I don't like going down the conspiracy rabbit hole that has, I don't have any receipts for. However, it has been circulating that juror number 1 is biased. He's a lawyer or was a lawyer. There was mention that maybe there was somebody that was a cop that was replaced and one of the alternate jurors. Now, mind you, you have to remember that there was a juror that was replaced. And we'll go over that. There was a juror that was replaced because of their own personal issues. Now, it was alleged from Fall River Reporter, we'll go over that too, that they were intimidated by the presence of Brian Albert, which from the look of that mean mugging looking fool, I get that. I would still stay there and look dead ass in his eyes and be like, and that Jim McCabe. But not everyone's the same. So we'll go over that and see if we can kind of figure out and confirm what people are saying, which ones got replaced and all that stuff. Turtle Boy went over it. So we'll go over that in a minute. So for them to be confused and upset that further instructions never came, that the foreperson was supposed to get judge to clarify on, is interesting. That's why I'm like, okay, I'm suspicious about the foreman. I am. I'm just going to say it out loud now. So Juror D explained that after the jury was excused and aboard the bus, many of the jurors appeared uncomfortable with how things ended, wondering, is anyone going to know that we acquitted Karen Reed on count 1 and 3? Damn, that's a hell of a statement, y'all. That should be alarming to you, because that's the law. It's the law. And it's an abuse of discretion if the judge does not take that into consideration, period. So Juror D stated that once the case was over, they remained uncomfortable. I did not feel right. Part of the discomfort was knowing that the jury had reached verdicts on 2 counts. So this is just reiterating how many times they knew there was a unanimous decision on those 2 counts of not guilty. And it made them uneasy. It affected them after the trial. And that's just not right. Well, we agree. Most of us anyway. So I inquired whether other jurors would agree and acknowledge that the not guilty verdicts were reached. And Jury D said without hesitation, every one of us will agree and acknowledge that we found her not guilty of counts 1 and 3, because that's what happened. I wonder if the foreperson is going to say the same thing. I'm only concerned about that one. I really am. We shall see. I'm sure they're going to do a voir dire, whatever it's called, to basically question every juror. I'm sure that's coming. I don't see how it couldn't. But we'll see. Depending on what Judge Cannone decides. So Juror D reiterated that because it would be unjust for Karen Reed to be retried on those 2 counts, since the jury had unanimously found her not guilty. She reiterated this. Juror D further stated that if necessary, she agrees to testify in order to explain to the court and to that jury, we reached that not guilty verdict on count 1 and 3. as long as the identity remained protected. Now, typically, they don't impound the information on the jurors. Typically, it's left out there, but Beverly decided to impound them to protect her identity. So that's a good sign, right? It's almost like, well, I'm going to oblige that. But that's not really what Bev got around to in her little note when she impounded her decision on the motion. She blamed Turtle Boy for hurting the witnesses with harassment. She didn't mention his name, but she kind of hinted at it. There have been witnesses in this case who have been harassed, and we don't want that to happen to you guys. So, malarkey. Grade A malarkey. Real quick, here is proof from June 24th, which was Michael Vaughn's birthday. We're just jumping into Michael Vaughn very, very, very quickly and not for very long. The Fruitland Police Department is actively investigating Michael Vaughn's case and encourages the public to come forward. Just wanted to let you know that this is the latest that we know of on Michael's case. This was from the NCMEC website, and it was specifically regarding Brandy Neal's birthday outpouring for Michael. And here's the link on my Twitter page if you wanted to go and see it for yourself. So again, June 24th, this is the latest that we know that they are still actively investigating Michael Vaughn's case. All right. So moving on. And here, of course, is his flyer. Please still share this flyer. It's still important to do. All right. So let's listen to, right after the jury deliberations were given, what we just listened to. Hey, Hakuna. Let's listen to what was said by Mr. McDermott, which is the court clerk and Bev's right-hand man, the one that did the lottery, when he spins that little wooden thing and then pulls out, ironically, a number 2 and 3 for the jury. Yeah, so let's listen to this.
All right. So, counsel, I'll give you a few minutes to work with Mr. McDermott on the verdict slip, and then I'll come back out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise for the court, please.
So involuntary is out? No, involuntary. No, involuntary.
All rise for the court, please.
So involuntary is out? No.
So involuntary is out? No. What? What do you mean involuntary is out? What are you talking about? They haven't even deliberated yet. What do you mean? Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, do you want to put involuntary listed as a separate charge, which they did? Like typically, as you would see on a normal verdict slip, you would see second degree murder, not guilty in any of the following charges listed. So all 3. And he goes, no. We're going to do second degree murder. And then involuntary 1 and 2. There was no check mark on those, remember? But it did change because of the issues that the jury had, because they said, we are confused. So let me turn it up a little bit. There is some more. It's very hard to hear, but you hear some things.
Involuntary is out? No, involuntary.
So I know you probably can't hear it, but it says, do you want them in any particular order? And I think I hear Lally say something. Then they talk about the first and lesser included. So, the counsel, meaning all attorneys, defense and ADA, Lally, is up there talking. So whatever happened between that time of talking about how that verdict slip should be presented to the jurors, something happened in between this discussion and when the juror received those verdict slips and then got confused. So let's look at that. Because this is, I think, where old Bev did the switcheroo on everybody. And actually, at the catastrophe on X is the one who kind of pinpointed this out. Thank God they made a video because I didn't have time to make one. So I got to slow it down because I did it on 2x speed. So give me just a second. Again, this is catastrophe on X.
Counsel have both had an opportunity to look at the new verdict slip.
All right, so does the defense say the verdict slip's in order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you. We appreciate the call.
Okay, does the Commonwealth say the verdict slip's in order?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so the verdict slip will go in, Officer Delano. I'll let you do what you're doing. All right, so the verdict slip will go into the jury. I instruct you or Officer Leiden to remove verdict slip for count number 2 from the jury, have the jurors fold it, put it in an envelope and seal it. And we'll bring that in and we'll mark that for identification. I'm also going to send in a transcript of the supplemental instruction I gave this morning. May we mark that? Madam Court Reporter, please. I have copies for counsel if you'd like. Yes. All right, so.
Aha. That's the beginning of the switcheroo when they took out that verdict slip and put that supplemental instruction in. We want to see it. I want to see the transcript and if it matches what they received. That's what I want. Maybe not me, but the defense. I hope that that's something they got. And the notes from the foreperson. Why was this so insane and hard for the jury? It should be very easy and simple. That's the whole point. You don't want to muddle the verdicts. You don't want to do that. So, my question to you guys is, what would you do if you were Karen Reed in this predicament? What would you do also if you were the family members of John O'Keefe and you saw this going down? I guess it would depend on how badly you would want somebody to be convicted of a crime they did not commit. Right? I'm looking at the family of John O'Keefe wondering, are they really looking at justice for the right? Are they looking for justice for John O'Keefe in any way, shape, or form that they can get? Are they okay with aligning with the same principles of the third party culprit just to get a conviction? Because it seems to be that way. And are you going to be complicit in that? It's a moral issue. And it sucks because they shouldn't be put in this predicament. But when you have corrupt cops and a corrupt investigation, this is what happens. They are not only manipulating the courts, they're manipulating that family that doesn't deserve it, and they're falling for it. And that's why the feds definitely will and should take a hold of everything that they have done and hold them accountable for the murder of John O'Keefe and for corrupting the legal system against Karen Reed. That's just my opinion only. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you're watching the replay. Guys, thank you for being here. It's a short live today. Be on the lookout for a live regarding Michael Vaughn. Real quick, if you were around during the Michael Vaughn videos and all of that stuff in the past 2 years, creators are trying to bait me into some drama right now. You know, if you hear it, you hear it. If you want to participate, go for it. I don't care. I am not going to be involved in tragedy pimps who claim that I tragedy pimp. All right. It's kind of disgusting. You're re-victimizing through my content for your own content to re-victimize. If you believe that I am such a tragedy pimp, so stop it. Grow up. Okay? All right, guys. Much love to you. You know, as I say, drink your water, hug yourself, babies, fur babies, gray babies. Justice for Karen Reed. Justice for John O'Keefe. And I'll see you on the next live. Bye, guys.